It was a quiet evening, the kind where the world seems to hold its breath. The rain had been falling steadily all day, a soft, rhythmic patter against the windows. I was alone in my apartment, nestled in the heart of the city, surrounded by the hum of distant traffic and the occasional rumble of thunder. The storm outside had grown fiercer as the night deepened, and I found myself drawn to the eerie ambience it created. I had just finished watching a psychological thriller, one of those films that leaves you questioning every shadow and sound. The movie had ended, but the tension lingered, amplified by the storm. I sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the blank TV screen. The room was dimly lit, the only light coming from a small lamp in the corner. That's when I heard it, a faint whisper, so soft it could have been the wind. I froze, my heart skipping a beat. The sound seemed to come from the hallway just beyond the living room. I strained my ears, trying to make sense of it. Was it my imagination, the storm, or something else? I stood up slowly, my legs trembling. Beneath me, the whisper came again, louder this time, but still unintelligible. It was as if someone was speaking just out of earshot, their words carried away by the storm. I took a step toward the hallway, my breath shallow, my pulse racing. The hallway was dark, the only light spilling in from the living room. I reached for the light switch, but before I could flip it, I saw something move. A shadow, fleeting and indistinct, darting across the wall. My hand froze mid-air, and I felt a chill crawl up my spine. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling. There was no response, only the sound of the rain and the occasional crack of thunder. I stepped into the hallway, my eyes scanning the darkness. Nothing. Just an empty corridor leading to the bedrooms. I told myself it was nothing, just my mind playing tricks on me. But as I turned to go back to the living room, I heard the whisper again, this time clearer, more insistent. It was coming from the spare bedroom at the end of the hall. My heart pounded in my chest as I approached the door. It was slightly ajar, the room beyond, shrouded in darkness. I pushed it open slowly, my hand trembling on the doorknob. The room was empty, just as I had left it earlier in the day. But the air felt heavy, charged with an energy I couldn't explain. I stepped inside, my eyes adjusting to the darkness. The whisper came again, louder now, and I realized it was coming from the closet. My stomach churned as I reached for the closet door, my fingers brushing against the cool wood. I hesitated, my mind racing with possibilities. With a deep breath, I pulled the door open. The closet was empty. I let out a shaky laugh, relief flooding through me. It was just my imagination, I told myself, just the storm and the movie playing tricks on me. I closed the closet door and turned to leave the room, but as I stepped into the hallway, I saw it again. The shadow moving swiftly across the wall. This time it was closer, more defined. It was the shape of a person, tall and slender, their movements fluid and deliberate. I stumbled backward, my back hitting the wall as the shadow stopped, its form looming over me. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The shadow seemed to pulse, growing darker, more solid, and then it spoke. "You shouldn't have opened the door." The voice was low and guttural, sending a wave of terror through me. I screamed, scrambling to my feet and running down the hallway. I didn't stop until I was back in the living room, the lights blazing, the TV on full volume. I spent the rest of the night on the couch, too afraid to sleep. The storm eventually passed, and the whispers faded into silence. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something had been in the house with me, something that didn't belong. The next morning, I found the closet door wide open, the inside covered in... The snow had been falling for days, blanketing the town in a thick, unbroken layer of white. I'd been working from home, my small house feeling even smaller as the walls seemed to close in around me. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows, and sending drifts of snow swirling through the air. It was late in the evening when I finally stepped outside to take out the trash. The cold hit me like a slap, biting at my exposed skin. I hurried to the curb, my boots crunching in the snow. As I turned to go back inside, something caught my eye. A set of footprints leading around the side of the house. I frowned, my breath visible in the frigid air. The prints were fresh, the edges still sharp and defined. They led straight to my bedroom window, where they stopped abruptly, as if someone had stood there for a long time, watching. A shiver ran down my spine, and I quickly went back inside, locking the door behind me. I told myself it was nothing, just a neighbor or a delivery person. But the unease lingered, gnawing at the edges of my mind. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The wind had died down, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. I was just starting to drift off when I heard it, a soft tapping at the window. My eyes snapped open, and I turned my head slowly, my heart pounding in my chest. The blinds were closed, but I could see the faint outline of someone standing outside, their shadow cast against the fabric. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. The tapping came again, louder this time, more insistent. I reached for my phone, my hands trembling as I dialed 911. "There's someone outside my window," I whispered, my voice barely audible. The dispatcher assured me that help was on the way, but the minutes felt like hours as I waited, my eyes glued to the window. The tapping continued, growing more frantic, until it suddenly stopped. I held my breath, listening for any sound. The house was silent, the only noise the faint hum of the heater. And then I heard it, the sound of footsteps moving around the house. I crept out of bed, my phone clutched tightly in my hand. I peered through the blinds, my heart racing as I saw the figure again, this time standing at the back door. They were tall, their face obscured by a hood, their movements slow and deliberate. I backed away from the window, my mind racing. The police would be here any minute, I told myself. I just had to stay calm. But then I heard the doorknob rattle. I bolted for the front door, my hands shaking as I fumbled with the lock. I threw it open and ran outside, the cold air stinging my lungs. I didn't stop until I reached the street, where I saw the flashing lights of a police car approaching. The officers searched the house, but they found no one. The footprints in the snow were gone, erased by the falling flakes. But as they left, one of the officers handed me a note they had found.